Ricky, it was just a week ago. We had Regitary Morete strike out 11 in 5 innings. But this week, we got a guy that had an even crazier stat line out of the ACL. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
With the 18th pick of the 2026 MLB Draft, the Cincinnati Reds select Justin LeBron, a shortstop from the University of Alabama.
One. Swung drill. Deep left field. Will it stay fair? It will. A 3-run homer again for Ruben Ibarra. That is his second home run of the game.
There's a swing and a high fly ball into right center. Going back to right fielder Walner. Warning track. Wall leaps. Can't get it. It hits high off the wall and kicks way out there into medium range right field. Here's Rodriguez being waved around third. Vetco with a throw in. It's up the line. It's an inside the park home run for Hector Rodriguez.
Back to him. Swing and a drive down the right field line. If it's fair, it's gone. It is gone. Home run. This game is tied.
0-1 pitch, swing and a fly ball hit well to left center field, deep. Center fielder strong is back to the wall, and that ball is gone! Grand slam, Carlos Sanchez!
Swing and a high fly ball into right. Carrying back his Waters at the wall. Gone! On to the Humana Cabana. Home run, Austin Hendrick.
Line drive deep to left. Cordoba back, and it's a grand slam for Carter Graham.
Pitches in the air to left. Bandura going back, still going at the track, and he looks up and it's off the wall about 3/4 of the way up. 1 run is in as Boo scores. Here comes Collier behind him, and it's a 2-run double for Murillo.
Swing and a drive deep out to center. Humphreys going back at the warning track at the wall, looking up, and it's gone! Ty Doucette, welcome to the beach. A 2-run shot gives the Tortugas the lead, 3-2 in the bottom of the 6th.
Here's a drive to right center. That's well hit. Camarillo way back, and that ball is out of here. It's a home run. Mason DeVille.
There's a swing and a fly ball deep into left. Cross going back, turns around, gone! A walk-off grand slam for Michael Jamin.
2 balls, 2 strikes. The shot again by Witcher. Here comes the runner in for third. It's Kian Boo has just stolen home. Put this one in the win column. The most heads-up play I've ever seen in Dragons history. He steals home to win the game. Kian Boo stole home to win the game.
Well, yeah, Kian Vu. We talked about that exact play in the new intro. Credit to Ricky out there putting out the new calls. You got Carter Graham in there, Ty Doucette, all the good ones. So good work out of you, Ricky. It's good stuff. And also, I forgot, most of all, you got your guy, Austin Hendrick, again in there. Hitting it to the Humana Cabana, by the way.
Yeah, had to throw that one in there.
Yeah, welcome to Minor League Monday, a Cincinnati Reds minor league podcast hosted by myself, Roger Strauss, and Reds on SI writer, and mega producer, does all our social clips and the intro you got here, working all behind the scenes and all gloves off all the time as well. Ricky Logan is here with us, so we really appreciate that. Ricky, it was kind of a weird week, All-Star week, but the complex leagues were going. The DSL had their All-Star game as well. They had some games, just like the Reds, a 3 or 4 game series, I think, because they had some makeups for our affiliate teams. But what were your first thoughts on the week that was for the minors?
Yeah, I mean, there was one crazy starting pitching performance in the ACL we're going to talk about. That was even crazier than last week's, or was it 2 weeks ago, last week, whatever it was.
Yeah,
feels like a lifetime ago. But yeah, I mean, we had the draft recently. We've had, we got a episode coming out in the next couple days with 3rd round pick Tyner Horn coming out here pretty soon. Cool conversation with him. I mean, it was a cool week. Not a whole lot of baseball as far as like the top affiliate programs go, but there was still baseball nonetheless. And we had some pretty, and I don't know if you saw the score of that DSL game. We'll talk about too. It was it was a blowout. So yeah, a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, All-Star break means no baseball for some teams, the affiliates especially. But the ACL was in action. The DSL had some games. The recent draftees that you talked about, they're in Arizona getting worked out, figuring out what they're going to look like and what affiliate they get assigned to. That we should know that hopefully in the next couple weeks or so or less. If they're going to Daytona or I don't know, skipping a level, go to Dayton, who knows? The top guys that we've got, like Justin LeBron, Eric Becker, still not signed, I think, as of this recording. So that's kind of an interesting thing of note, at least for the draftees of the 2026 class. But Mulavai Lavu signed, getting probably his work in. Roommate to Ty Horn as well down there in Arizona that we found out. So that's kind of cool because he actually went up against UCLA, Ty Horn with Nebraska a couple times for Big Ten championship games. So it's kind of interesting that now they're now roommates and teammates in the same organization. But check out that. I think we're going to try to drop that Wednesday. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification button so you know when that interview drops and all that good stuff. But yeah, Ricky, let's get into it. The DSL had their All-Star game. They also had some games as well to cover, but we had three guys, right? Again, another three, yeah. A trio of DSL Reds and Rojos represent the Cincinnati Reds organization right there. I believe from left to right, we were talking about this, I think, before last night's show or after last night's show. We're going to go Yesaya Escalona. I think we're going there. Okay.
Sounds right.
Okay, and then I think we've got Mr. Eder Gutierrez in the middle and Angel Nunez on the right, I believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, Ricky. But those three guys represent you. Right. You wrote about them. What are your takeaways from their season so far down there in the DSL?
Yeah, I mean, to speak about Gutierrez first, I mean, he is just hitting the ball incredibly well. He's got well over 1,000 OPS. He's got, I think, 8 multi-hit games. He's got 4 3-hit games. He's got a 4-hit game. I think I want to say 8 multi-hit games. I think I don't know if I already said that or not. But just his ability to hit the ball is fantastic. And not only is he hitting the ball, he's drawing walks and he's stealing bases. He looks to be a pretty solid outfielder too. And then for Angel Nunez, just kind of hearing like from him, because I kind of thankfully, the world we live in today with AI and all that stuff, there's like you can DM somebody in a different language and you can translate it and you can speak to them in real time translating, which is really cool. But I spoke with Angel Nunez Jr. through DMs and just wanted to ask him a few questions. He was gracious enough to spare me like 20 minutes to talk with me, and just hearing how happy he is and just enjoying his time as a professional. He's really, really proud of his work that he did to get to where he's at. And he's a hard worker. And just, he said, I'll pull up the quote that he said. It was really cool just because, like I said, it is really cool to hear in real time translation. He said, it feels too good to be true. I repeat it over and over in my mind. It was something that I've dreamed of ever since I was little, that people can get to know me for what I do. And I thank God that is coming true, which, I think he's going to be a star. He seems to have that, as the kids say, aura around him. And, he's a good head on his shoulders, a great baseball player, extremely young. He just turned 17 in April. So he's one of the younger guys in the DSL that debuted this season. And then Escalona, I think he's 19. This is his second season in the DSL, and the growth that he's shown this season, going from like a 1.7 whip or something to a below 1. I think it's like 0.90 whip. Just really good. Just good stuff from him. And the three of them, just speaking to them through messages, they seem very humble, good character, which we've talked about with Tyner Horn in our interview with him. Just like the Reds really value character, and they're doing a great job with that. So I'm really proud of these kids, and they're representing our team, and they're representing themselves too, and they're representing their country. And, it's hard to judge. Like we talk about it all the time. It's hard to judge 16, 17-year-old kids when they sign with a professional team out of another country. You don't really know much about them. It's not a whole lot of tape on them, or you don't really know who they are. And, they're good kids, and they're really good baseball players, and they're going to be a big part of this team going forward.
Yeah. The Angel Nunez selection wasn't really, I guess, the biggest surprise. I guess it's also mostly a surprise because it's his first year, and he may be, I don't know exactly the rules around this. He could be a 1-year DSL type player. They might have to wait till he turns 18 in April of 27 to figure out all that legal stuff or what have you. But for the most part, he was the big guy signed in the 2026 international free agent, class, number 6 overall, I believe, in that class of 2026. So he was a guy that has, like you said, star potential, right? Like how Alfredo Duno was the top of his class back in, was it 2022 or 2023? So
23.
Yeah, so it was like that kind of situation. But for his first 17, I think, or 18 games, he got on base every single game of his first 17 games of his career. Not just like a streak in the middle of the season. He started off the DSL on fire. And actually it's kind of cooled off because I think he was hitting 400 for the longest time. Now he's hitting just a mere 298. So shout out to Angel Nunez. The Iker Gutierrez one is interesting because he's a second-year player, much like Escalona. But he went from hitting, I think, 150s, 200 in his first year in the DSL, and now has touched 400 and is in the 350 range, 356, I believe, between the DSL Rojos and DSL Reds. So he kind of moved up in the organization. As far as we can tell, that the Rojos are kind of the younger kids, and the second-year players or the guys that may go stateside soon are the DSL Reds. But get Iker Gutierrez on a plane to Arizona now, as far as I think I've seen enough. He's done enough down there in the Dominican in his 2 years, or at least in this year, especially to, warrant playing in the ACL in 2027. So shout out to all those guys. And like you said, Yasias Escalona, 0.7 ERA, 5.0 record. That's Iker Radona range, right? Ridiculous stuff like that down there. So he should be also stateside as well next year at the very least.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say they did not have the most, crazy all-star game. I think I sent you their stats. They only the two guys, I think, batted once each. I want to say Angel Nunez went 0 for 1, and our guy Iker Gutierrez went 1 for 1. And I think
he went 1 for 2.
1 for 2. Okay, he's got 2 at-bats. But Escalona only, I think, got 2/3 of an inning, retired him. Both, I don't think he gave up a run. He may have given up a walk or a hit, but it was not the biggest.
Hit and strikeout.
Yeah. So not the lighting the world on fire, but they got to represent the Reds at the All-Star game. This time, I think we talked about it. The first time I think they've had it stateside because they had it at the Tampa Bay Rays development complex in Florida. So that was kind of cool, possibly for those guys to get on a plane and play in the States. It's there wasn't too much fanfare about this game because I tried looking for a stream or even a legal stream or what have you, but there wasn't too much to be found about that. So, these guys, I think we'll get a lot more tape on them when they get to the ACL, be able to see them more regularly. And that's the most exciting thing that I have for these guys is getting them into the complex league and seeing them perform, stateside.
Yeah, I mean, last year all 3 DSL All-Stars went to the States, and I think I would think age probably doesn't matter for that. I'm not 100% sure the rules on that, but I mean, he turns 18 in April, so it shouldn't be that dramatic of a thing. So, I mean, if anything, he shows up to camp a week late or something. But, he's speaking of Nunez for the age for him. So, yeah, I mean, I would assume that they should be able to all 3 be in Arizona. And, I think that should be the plan for the 3 of them. They're good enough to move up. I don't think they need another season. And there's a few guys in the DSL that were really excited about moving up next year too. So not just the three of them. They're the three that really stood out as far as the All-Stars, but I mean, we'll talk about it more when we go into the week. But, there's, I'd say, 7 to 8 guys that we're generally pretty excited about. We say excited. We're not saying they're going to be Juan Soto, but one could be. You never know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking through some of the DSL stats. Your guy, Jose Navarrete, doing really well. Had a good outing on Monday. His ERA is down 2.03. So, and I believe he's on the DSL Reds. So he may be a second-year player that could be stateside as well, pitching in the ACL in 2027. But, it's kind of I think they got about maybe a month or so left to their season. They don't have too much more. I know that the ACL is winding down as well. So we'll probably cover these guys for a couple more weeks and see where they end up ultimately. But, you got anything else on the DSL guys?
I wanted to talk about, I think it was Wanderley De La Cruz on Monday, just the insane stat line he put up. He goes 3 for 6 with 7 RBIs. He had a home run. It was a grand slam. He's hitting 238 on the season, but he's got a 775 OPS. I think he, I guess he didn't. Thought he stole a base, but his numbers on the season are pretty decent, as far as the extra stuff. Kind of down compared to last year, but he's got 11 stolen bases. He does strike out a little bit, but he's walking enough too. He's got 27 walks, 26 strikeouts. A lot of these guys, it's hard to judge. Like we said, DSL pitching is pretty bad. You're either elite or you're pretty bad. So, I mean, it's hard to really judge hitting too much. You have to be an elite hitter, which we seem to have a few as far as DSL talent goes. But, 3 for 6, 7 RBIs, a walk and 2 runs scored. I mean, that's a great game. And he's had some games like that in the past. And then Isaac Garcia had 5 walks in that game.
Nice. Yeah, that was a game they won 23-1. I think is the game you're talking to me about. My guy I want to shout out, Angel Celio, DSL Red, third baseman. He hit the last 17 games. So this is basically the last couple weeks. Hitting 314, 385 on base, and OPS 842, 2 homers, 19 RBIs, and 10 stolen bases in the last 17 games. And the funny thing is that he's been batting about 315 for the season. So he's right about there, which is great. I think he's definitely a candidate to come stateside. He seems to have a pretty solid season this season that warrants it at the very least. I don't know exactly what else that he needs to do to prove because I believe he's a second-year guy as well down there. But I think he's proven all he can down there in the Dominican and should be an ACL Red sooner than later.
Yeah, and then that Weimer Lara from the Dominican Republic, he's 17. He had a pretty decent game in a game earlier in this week. He's hitting 255 with the 767 OPS. A good example of somebody who didn't really put up crazy numbers in the DSL, but kind of excelled in the ACL this season would be Nielsen Booten, who didn't really light up the DSL, but when he got to the ACL, he put up great numbers, and he made it up to low A this year. So he's one of those it's hard to judge. Juan Brown didn't really dominate the DSL, and he came up and he's doing pretty well in the ACL. So it's hard to judge, and then we're seeing pitchers now, as far as Iker Radona, who has dominated every time he's ever touched the ball. You look at his baseball reference page, it goes back to when he was 16 pitching in the Mexican League. He's 17 years younger than the league average, and he's not walking anybody. It's incredible. I think he's just going to be a really stud pitcher if he can just kind of grow into his frame a little bit.
Absolutely. And also that stat out there is Aristis Aquino hit under 200 in the Dominican. And I think Ellie didn't hit above 240 in the Dominican. So it's it may be a situation, like you said, they're so wild down there, they might not have stuff to hit. Yeah, I mean, it might be that type of situation. So you want to probably find the guys with decent on bases, probably with some decent slugging. You know, I mean, they're not going to hit a lot of homers down there, being how young they are and how big the fields are out there and whatnot. But like, yeah, I think we have some sort of inclination what should be successful. I mean, Angel Nunez has hit the ground running. Eder Gutierrez has been hitting nearly 400 all season. I think those are sure shots deserving of the opportunity to get promoted, to move up, graduate from the DSL.
And that's not even counting guys like Lieber Ponte. Who am I forgetting? Eventually, Yasset Martinez.
Hurt. I think he's still hurt.
Because he's hurt. He's on the 60-day IL down there, season-ending injury. There's is it Jesus Colina down there too? I think he's doing pretty well. Isaac Garcia, Angel Salillo, William Lara. There's guys like Jalen Harrison Jr. didn't really dominate the DSL either, and he's up in the ACL playing pretty well. It's difficult. It's like you said, you're not getting pitches to hit all the time. So
yeah, for sure. And our guy Henry Torres as well. Don't forget about him.
Yeah, Henry Torres
hitting 304 on the season still quietly. So it was a quiet 304 down there.
He was a top 50 international prospect that the Reds signed as their second or third highest bonus not this season, but the season prior, 25. Another Venezuelan catcher. You know, the Reds love their Venezuelan catchers, and they're getting good ones. So we've got what, 3 in the system now with
I think Pablo Allende is also Venezuelan, so I think they got at least 4.
Yeah, so I mean they're finding their catchers down there, and it's paying off so far.
Yeah, for sure. So again, if you got anything else, let's move into the ACL, where we also got another Venezuelan catcher who's been really, really good. Mr. Hervin Murillo has been lighting it up, and they had I think a full week for them at the ACL, but they have what? Two more games left. They end their season on Wednesday. So this is going to be an interesting time. They're obviously at the complex. There's always some baseball going on. So there may be some more development stuff, probably inter-squad games that may happen with some of the ACL guys if they don't get moved up. This could be about the time of the year that we start to see, Steele Hall might be moving on to Daytona. Hervin Murillo example. Like what are your thoughts about the ACL Reds as their season's kind of winding down?
Yeah, I mean, like guys that I want to see moved up is Eli Pitts, Hervin Murillo, Steele Hall, Juan Brown, Iker Radona, just guys like that have performed all year long in the ACL. Some of them are kind of cooling off a little bit, but Adolfo Sanchez, I think Drew Davies got sent back down to the ACL. He probably will get moved back up. He's still kind of struggling down there in the ACL. He, I think it was Wednesday, he had 2 strikeouts. So he's still kind of struggling down there. Nabel Mariano is another guy that could move up. I mean, they'll have to move some guys around. When we did see Tyson Lewis get moved up to high A, that kind of helps out with the infield situation, especially for Steele Hall. Pablo Nunez, Eli Pitts, outfielders. There's some room out there. You could probably move Ty Doucette up and clear a spot too. So like, there's going to be some movement. We're probably going to see. Probably won't see any pitchers debut this season, just because the Reds shut all their pitchers down. But we could see Justin LeBron maybe debut in low A, potentially, just to get his feet wet as a professional, and then he could probably debut in high A or even double A next year, just depending on how that goes. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. This season's already almost over.
Yeah. I know we go back and forth with Carrick about having the hot take that ACL should be at least another month of baseball. Because, yeah, I mean, the draft's here now. So, like, you could have a bunch of your draft guys play a bunch of ACL games if you want and need to see them play. But like I said, they probably solve that with like inter squad scrimmages and stuff like that, like they do in the backfields all the time. I will say there is one pitcher that probably get moved up from the ACL, a guy that probably I think we talked about it because he recently made the transition from catcher to pitcher. Logan Tanner, I think, probably would be in Daytona because he's looked pretty good. He doesn't have top end velocity and breaking on his stuff, but I'm guessing he's a gamer because he's learning the position, and being a catcher, you probably have a pretty good sense of like what pitch sequence you want to go with to try to get guys out and everything. Just a matter of executing those pitches, which I think the last time I saw, I don't think he had given up a run, or he had one run given up. Like he's been pitching pretty well. Obviously, I think it's only like 3 or 4 innings into his.
So he's got 3 games, hasn't allowed a hit, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts in 3 innings.
We'll take that. I mean,
that's pretty good. And he's still relatively young. He's 25. I mean, depending on how he develops in, as a pitcher. I mean, he was a catcher, so he's got a strong arm, so like he could maybe start in Double-A next year and then learn from like a good pitching coach up there, and then get the Triple-A and then learn from the pitching coach up there. And he could be like a Hagen Danner kind of situation where you relearn how to a new position. You can hit the major league level. Unfortunately for Danner, he had an injury, and he never got back up to the major leagues after that. And he probably could have made the team out of spring training. Maybe he was pitching okay in spring training, ended up getting released. But yeah, I mean, Logan Tanner, I joke around with it a lot because his name is my brother's name flipped around. It's hilarious.
That is funny. But yeah. Unfortunately, rest in peace, Hagen Danner's career as a Red, because that was a heck of a spring. I saw, I think Greg's tweet about it as well. Greg Kuffner, friend of the show, talking about the Hagen Danner spring training of 2026 will be one that we always remember. But yeah, anyway, you know what? We're bearing the lead in the ACL, Ricky. We've got 2 pitchers, which you already talked about. I think Regitary Morete and Iker Radona. Those guys have been absolutely awesome, but because they're probably on some sort of, innings limit and whatnot, they're probably going to end their season, the ACL, when the ACL ends. Maybe Iker Radona and Regitary Morete move up to Daytona, but I don't know. You probably are saving these 2 guys for 2027 to get into affiliate ball to protect their arms. But like Morete, what is this, on Friday or Saturday? He went 5 innings, 3 Ks. His season ERA is 2.98. It's kind of crazy that, the control that this guy has as well, because this is kind of a rough outing for him. He had 1 walk to 3 strikeouts when he usually is in like the 1 to walk to 7 range. Or last week, as we talked about at the top of the show, went 5 innings, and out of the 15 outs, he got 11 Ks out of that. And I think he only walked 1 batter. So like, this is a guy with some really pinpoint control. Only gave up 1 hit, also on Saturday as well. Just electric stuff out of Morete this spring. It's been kind of awesome to see that out of him, that he's developing along this path, because another lefty, Iker Radona, is just matching him game for game, it seems like, when we see the ACL out there. Oh, it's muted.
So another guy that we're not really talking about is Aaron Watson, because we haven't seen him a whole lot. I think they've had him on an innings limit. He pitched July 6th. He allowed 6 hits in 3 innings, a home run allowed, no walks, struck out 7. But on the season, he's got a 3.97 ERA in 22 2/3 innings, 31 strikeouts. 2nd round pick last year. He could be he really showed his stuff in the spring prospects game. So he's big guy, 6'5", 200 pounds. He's a electric fastball, good stuff. The Reds were lucky to get him to sign. I think he was committed to go to Florida. So I don't know if he would be a 2nd-year ACL guy, or if they may move him up to low A next year. They probably shut him down for the year and then let him go up next year. But we kind of forget about him because we haven't seen him a whole lot, just because they're probably just limiting his innings.
Yeah. And also the other guy we're bearing lead on, Iker Radona. Crazy outing this past week. What did he go? 4 innings, which 12 outs, and he had 11 strikeouts. This is a guy that also has crazy control where he has high strikeouts, low walks, doesn't give up many hits, doesn't give up any runs. I mean, I think the reason why he only went 4 innings, Ricky, is because he was at like 72 pitches through those 4 innings. So he's throwing probably a lot of strikes. Maybe the guys were battling and fouling a lot off or something to get his pitch count up that high, because he's usually super efficient where he's not walking a lot of guys, not giving up a lot of hits, not throwing a lot of pitches. But this outing takes the cake, is one of the most outstanding outings from an ACL pitcher since, Regitary Morete of last week, basically.
Yeah, he's phenomenal, just phenomenal.
Yeah. A former Dominican Summer League All-Star who was throwing like this down there as well. So it seems like his stuff has been transferring over stateside, which is a real great positive thing, because like you said, there's stats that you can look at the DSL that you're like, oh, okay, this should translate over. And then he comes over to stateside and then it doesn't work at all, right? It can't figure it out, or something goes terribly wrong or what have you. Or it's the other way around where they look like they're nothing and then they come over to the United States and they turn into Ellie De La Cruz. And you're like, okay, so at least we can, I guess, trust our eyes, trust our scouting, trust the people writing on these guys that are in the DSL, that Iker Radona has got the goods, had it when he was over there in the Dominican, has it in the ACL. And I'm really excited to see him pitch for Dayton. You know what? I hope he can skip and he can come straight to Dayton, and then like opening day Dayton, we can go watch them in 2027.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So shout out to him.
He's a great pitcher. He doesn't have the highest velocity. I think he tops out around 93, but he's just 18. He's growing. He's getting stronger. I think he's got the stuff. I think he's hit as high as 95. So I think he could get up there with proper training and everything and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, he's a great pitcher.
Yeah, get this stat. I know we talk about this a lot, and we're probably going to talk about more when he moves up in the levels. 42 innings pitched this year, Ricky. How many walks do you think he had?
4.
6.
Jeez.
6 walks in 42 innings, and 57 strikeouts. That's like a 10-to-1 ratio. That's ridiculous. That's something that needs to be talked about more. This is the type of guy you need in your system, and hopefully they can keep developing him, keep him healthy, keep him going on the right path, because, yeah, I'd love to see him in Cincinnati 2029, 2028 maybe at the earliest. We would love to see that as soon as possible.
Yeah, should be a top 30 prospect.
Yeah. Is he on ours? Oh, we got to update ours.
I believe he's on ours.
All right. Shall we move on to Daytona? Daytona has been surprisingly good the second half of the season. I don't know if you know this, Ricky. They're in first place in their division of the Florida State League. They're 14-8, a game and a half better than the Palm Beach St. Louis Cardinals affiliate. And they swept their opponent this weekend, 3-game sweep. So the Daytona Tortugas are starting to turn it around the second half of the season. It's almost a la Dayton Dragons in 2025, where they were really bad in the first half of the season and then came on strong in the second half and finished on with that crazy winning streak, that crazy 18 out of 19 wins the last 19 games of the season. Tortugas are kind of surprising with their pitching. There was some bad news. I texted you, obviously, and told a bunch of people in our fan group and whatnot. Sheng and Lin, unfortunately, is being shut down for the year. It would appear something I don't know. I haven't seen any reporting on it and what exactly happened, but he's on the 60-day IL. So we will not see Sheng and Lin for the rest of 2026. Maybe he plays, I don't even know. If he gets back quick enough, maybe the fall league. I don't know if he'll be back in time. If October, maybe 60 days from now, I guess maybe. There's a possibility we see Sheng and Lin again maybe in 2026, but maybe in the Arizona Fall League and not in an affiliate ball. But what were some of your thoughts for Daytona this week?
Yeah, I mean, Ty Doucette looks to be heating back up after going through a little rough stretch after being injured. He has like a 6-game hitting streak currently. I think he homered this weekend, if I remember right.
Grand Slam.
Grand Slam. Ichiro Kano is heating up again too. We're seeing him. He's hitting 260 now. He was up under 200 for a while. Arnaldo Antigua is starting to get right again. Yeah, I mean, Jalen Harrison Jr. is just hitting the ball really well this year. 316 average, 854 OPS as of Friday. He goes 1 for 4 Friday with the walk. Yeah, I mean, it's good stuff from those guys. They had a really, really rough start to the season. A lot of their offense did. They were really bad offensively. Outside of Jacob Friend, who was like the only guy hitting down there for the longest time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just seeing now the Ty Doucette Grand Slam on Saturday in a 14-11 win. And then on Sunday they won 7-3, and Lantigua gets another hit, Ty Doucette gets another hit. So it's good to see them get hits all weekend. It was good to see sort of a bounce back outing from Mason Morris. 4 2/3, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, but he had 5 strikeouts. So he's kind of struggled this year. The Reds, he was a reliever in college, but he was kind of like that extended reliever. He'd throw multiple innings. So I think the Reds are trying to stretch him into a starter for them, and it's been a transition for him. But 5.66 ERA, 1.71 WHIP, and he really kind of struggled last year. So he's showing some signs of improvement. He's getting hit. I think that's just kind of the problem. 261 average against him, but he's striking out a lot of guys. He's got 70 strikeouts in 68 in the third inning. So he's doing pretty well. It's a learning curve going, bullpen, reliever, starter, going back and forth.
Yeah. It's probably coming at a good time that some of these guys are hitting, because they may be promotions in line so that they can get some of these draftees into Daytona before the end of the season. Ty Doucette should be in Dayton now, is my stance. I think we've seen enough. Carter Graham got moved up. He was the everyday first baseman for your Dayton Dragons. So Ty Doucette can definitely fill in that first base responsibility for sure. And I think he'd be like a situation that he'd probably hit better after leaving, kind of like how Tyson Lewis is hitting better in Dayton than he was in Daytona. I would imagine that, even though that Doucette has been hitting well, he's got like a 230 average, 280. Oh no, he's up there. So he'll probably definitely like the friendly confines of Dayton for sure, if he is to get promoted, which I think should happen yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, we talked to Jacob Friend about him when we had him on the show, and he said he's a really good hitter. So yeah, I mean, 289 average, 885 OPS, good stuff. I mean, he's a great hitter. He hit well in college at Rutgers. So, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm not saying he is this guy, but he kind of reminds me of Joey Votto a little bit. Canadian, lefty, first base, can pick it at first, and he's really good eye at the strike zone. I'm not saying he's Joey Votto. I'm just saying Canadian first base, Reds. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think Votto visited Daytona once or twice this year, and maybe they crossed paths a little bit, and maybe that's the reason why Mr. Doucette's starting to catch fire again. You never know. Something like that. But
Could be.
We'll move it on to Dayton. Dayton had 3 games. I believe they lost, I think, 2 out of 3 of them. They were decent. Dayton's kind of in a weird situation because they've lost a bunch of guys to promotion. They graduated 5 guys to Chattanooga, so they've got still, Tyson Lewis moved up, Fredo Alcantara is still there, Mason Neville is there, Jacob Friend is there, Ryan McChrystal was transferred down to them and has been hitting 300 down there. So they got a good team. Unfortunately, Kyle McCoy, my favorite left-hander in our organization, aside from Iker Radona and Regitary Morete, Kyle McCoy had a rough outing. The first time I think this season, it feels like, got roughed up, I think Saturday, 11 hits in 3 2/3 innings for 6 earned runs. So this might be a situation where they probably were waiting to see what Kyle McCoy was going to struggle. And I'd like to see his next start to see how he bounces back, because I think he's a gamer and he's been really good in Daytona and really good in Dayton so far. This is probably the first blip on the radar for him as far as I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, there was a pair of Dragons teammates that were player of the month for the Midwest League. It was him and Carter Graham. And McCoy has been really good. He was just drafted last year out of Maryland. And he, has pitched I think he's had one other kind of rough outing earlier this year. I think it was when he was with either his first start in Dayton or around his last start in Daytona. But it was around that time. It's been a couple months. Also, a great outing from Luke Hayden on Saturday, too. 3 1/3, no hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. He's kind of getting back in there. And then seeing Ryan McChrystal back down there in high A, I think it's just a catching situation. They need a catcher down there, and they have to move Duno up. He's top prospect. If he's playing the way he's playing, you've got to move him up. And McChrystal just happened to be the guy that was there to get moved back down. But 295 from him. He hit a double on Saturday. Peyton Stovall has been a kind of a surprise too this season. Mm-hmm. And still, like Tyson Lewis, man, it's so good to see him hitting the ball again. As of Saturday, 313 average, 819 OPS. He went 2 for 4 on Saturday. He's someone that has really struggled this season, and having him just kind of show that he still got it as far as, playing in the lower levels. He's got the tools. He's got the tools to be a star. It's just not chasing and not being, like how people will talk about Ellie earlier in his career, where he was just swinging at everything. And we see that with like Hector Rodriguez. He learned not to swing at everything. He still swings a lot, but he's not swinging at literally everything. And it's good to see him showing the signs of improvement. He's still just turned 20, I think. So he's still super young.
Yeah. Also, there's a nice outing on Ty Floyd, a guy that's been working back from injury for the second time this season, right? He went in the IL and came back again. He went 4 innings. Had a weird stat line, 0 hits, but an earned run with 3 walks and 5 strikeouts. But that's a pretty good outing out of him because he hadn't gone more than 2 or 3 innings in some of his, just out of getting off the IL type of, coming back starts. So it was nice to see that out of him because we definitely like him to get back onto the top 30 because he was a top 30 guy. Like you said, he was the number 2 at LSU behind Paul Skeen. So he's got good stuff from a big time program. And, sometimes you can't control injuries, but hopefully he can get back to it and build on this positive start as well.
Yeah. And then I'm trying to find it here. Marcus Smith, the guy they signed out of the independent leagues, has been playing very well too. On Sunday, he hit a triple, and he is hitting 240 with an 824 OPS. He had 2 RBIs on Sunday. Good story. I like those kind of stories. It's what makes baseball so great. You can sign a guy from essentially off the street that's working their tail off to get back to where they feel like they belong, and they go out there and they prove it. So really good story.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And he started off really hot with them. So he's been great. Hopefully he can keep that going. He plays all over. He plays center, left, right, all over the outfield. So he's a very versatile player as well for our organization. And yeah, we could use some power in that outfield position. And, Jacob Friend homered on Sunday as well. So like to have a little bit of that depth in the outfield. And Jay Allen, and we'll transition to Chattanooga with that. Jay Allen now is back on our top 30 for the official Cincinnati Reds and had a nice interview with Greg Kuffner. Go check that out. First round 2021 pick, I believe, for your Cincinnati Reds out of high school, Jay Allen. So he's been in our system for a bit, has had some good seasons, starting to really put it together here in Chattanooga, and has been rewarded with, I think, the 30th or 29th slotted prospect for our system, but super great outfielder defensively. He's had some real highlight catches in the outfield with Carlos Jorge moving up to AAA. Now he gets to play center all the time, and he's just been excellent. Like between him and Jorge, I don't know who's going to be a future center fielder, but they both could be, or at least if you have 2 center fielders out there, it'd be nice just to have their range and their athleticism to cover the field. But that's Jay Allen for you. Has had a decent season this year. and deservedly so, is a top 30 prospect for your Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, I mean, he was a first-round pick in 21, 30th overall. He was a comp pick. Just a great story, man. He's dealt with injuries, and as long as he's been in the system, he's still just 23. He turns 24 in November. So, yeah, it just goes to show you never give up on a guy until, they decide to give up, and he never gave up, and he is back in the top 30. Showcasing his speed again, 15 stolen bases this year, 11 home runs, 804 OPS. It's like it's a career year for him this year.
Yeah, he's been excellent. I like watching Chattanooga from time to time just to catch him play. I mean, they got a bunch of other guys as well that got promoted: Kian Vu, Carter Graham, Alfredo Duno. The Chattanooga should have a nice second half of the season. Been a little bit up and down. They haven't been playing terribly well since they had that super hot start, but they've had a lot of lineup changes and guys coming in and out and everything. But one guy also to highlight, Big Rube Ibarra has just been crushing it. Not just this week, but like the last couple weeks, just killing it. I saw him, I think it was Saturday night. He had a 3-run bases clearing double and like tomahawked that thing. I think the ball was at his eye level, Ricky. I'm not even kidding. But he got his hands up, got his shoulders up there, and he just tomahawked it out over the head of the center fielder there. And yeah, he's a guy I would love to see at the end of the season in AAA, because I think he's worked really hard through the system, really patient. I think he was a JUCO guy or maybe a college guy. I can't remember exactly, but he's been in the system since 2021, I think, as well, since like Jay Allen. But he's a little bit older because I think he went to college as opposed to Jay Allen going straight out of high school. But either way, Big Rube Ibarra, super crazy power, everything like that. His average is not great, 239 really for the season, but if they leave anything over the zone for him, he crushes it all the time.
Yeah, and you know who else I want to see in AAA by the end of the season? Alfredo Duno. I mean, if he's going to play the way he's playing in AAA, bring him up. There's no reason not to. Let him learn to catcher up there. 333 average, over 1,000 OPS in his now almost month in AA. Mm-hmm. He doubled on Saturday, I think. Yeah. Friday, and I probably doubled on Saturday too. He's unreal. He's a phenomenal talent. I'll pull up his most recent game log. His numbers are better from high A to double A. He was hitting just 260 in high A. Now he's hitting 317. Yeah. His slugging went up by 100 points. His on base went up by 30 points. His OPS went up by 100 points. I mean, it's in 11 games, he's got 3 doubles, 3 home runs, 8 walks, 8 strikeouts.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't lying when he got interviewed at the MLB Futures game that he thinks he's MLB ready to hit. I think everyone with eyes could see that this guy can hit probably major league pitching. Will he hit 317 in the majors? Possibly not.
Probably hits 280.
Yeah. And we'll take that for sure. That's, 280 is the new 300 more or less. But if he does get found out and there's a hole in his swing, I think major leaguers will be able to pinpoint that hole in his game. So that's maybe something he still needs to work on, just the smallest improvements. But yeah, he's 20 years
young.
old.
He's gonna learn. That's what it's like. Why not go ahead and just get his? I mean, obviously don't overwhelm him, but if he thinks he could do it, I don't think he's gonna be overwhelmed.
No, I don't think so yet. And I think he admitted, because he's not being overly boastful by saying, yes, I can hit major league pitching right now, when he said it in his native language. He also admitted that he's got to work on his defense and receiving and stuff like that, which it's a big part of the game too. Being, a catcher in, Major League Baseball is it's a tough job, right? You know what I mean? Just the wear and tear on the knees and the hips and all that stuff. And basically working with all the pitchers, getting on the same page with them and everything like that is another skill set that you have to have as a catcher, as opposed to if you're just a DH or a first baseman, you know what I mean? That you don't have that type of responsibility. So it's a big job. You know what I mean? A 20-year-old catcher or presumably next year, a 21-year-old catcher for your Cincinnati Reds, that's a big job. That's something where you definitely need a Jose Trevino to mentor you the whole year. As much as that stinks to have his, contract on the books and his lack of production on the books, but that's why I think they have Jose Trevino there till 2027, in my estimation. Muted.
We saw Duno work out with Salvador Perez during the offseason, and I think there's nobody better to work with during the offseason just because they have the same exact frame, same kind of style, and he's a Gold Glove catcher. So work with him. I think it was it Freddie Fermin also was working with him also. And then, getting the organization, you're competing with guys like Ryan McChrystal, Jacob Friend, guys like that. And then when you get to the higher levels like AAA, Will Banfield, PJ Higgins, and then you have, he probably had Tyler Stevenson during spring training. And, when he gets to the spring training next year, he'll have Jose Trevino again. And, I think I don't think his defense is that bad to where it's going to ruin his game. I just think it's not what he or they expect yet. It's not great, but I don't think it's an issue.
No, but it's just something to develop.
Yeah, you want to see it short up.
For sure. And it's not like he's going out there and he's missing the ball all the time or throwing it over second base all the time. You know what I mean? He's a good catcher. This is just like, I don't know. The Venezuelan
It's not
catcher
throwing
pipeline,
Nick Senzel in center field.
Yeah. The Venezuelan catcher pipeline is a rich, full of talent pipeline that we're just making sure that he's got all his fundamentals down before you unleash him on Major League Baseball. Because when he does, then we probably got, hopefully, half of the career of a Mr. Salvador Perez, I'd take. You know what I mean? Because he's probably at least borderline Hall of Famer. I think he won a World Series with the 15 Royals, if I remember right. So at least he's a Royals Hall of Famer at the very least. So
I'd put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I don't know his stats that well. I know he's hit a couple seasons of 40 home runs and all that, but yeah, I don't know. If Joe Mauer's a first ballot Hall of Famer, I think he's a one-time MVP, never won a World Series. Salvi can't be that far off. But
Salvador Perez is a 5-time Gold Glover, 9-time All-Star, 2015 World Series champ, World Series MVP, 5-time Silver Slugger winner, and a Clemente winner. 35.1 career WAR, 315 home runs, 262 average. For a catcher, I would say that puts him in the Hall of Fame. I would, depending on who's all on the ballot, I'd say first ballot.
Yeah, that's that could be a factor as well. It's not like these guys go in on merit; they go on the opinions of writers. But we won't go down that path.
Led the league in home runs in 2021 at 31 years old as a catcher.
Yeah, it feels like he's been in baseball for 20 years, just to be honest with you. That's crazy. It's 14, 15 years. Anyway, anything else about Chattanooga before we move on to Louisville Bats? And Louisville also had, 3 games as well, but I think they had a makeup, so they ended up playing a doubleheader on Saturday, I believe. And Hector just continues to be Hector. A home run on Sunday, 24th on the season. Yeah, like we've said this about Reese Hines. Like, it's great that he won International League MVP last year, getting 20 homers and 20 stolen bases or whatever he did in 2025. But we're not trying to win AAA awards. Hector needs to be on this ball club. I guess that's my main small retort, and I feel like I'm saying it every episode. But the guy is just, he's ready. Hunter Parks also has been pitching well as again. He had a shutout inning, 2 strikeouts on Sunday. So get him up as well. We're going to be selling. There's going to be 40-man spots open. Hector's already on the 40-man, so it's not like we have to open a spot anyway. So I don't know. Obviously, I'm not in there making all these decisions, but I think what we've come to decide, Ricky, between yourself and I, is that September 1st, at the very bare minimum, for Hector Rodriguez to debut.
Yeah, it's an easy roster move. All you're doing is calling him up. There's no shenanigans with it. He's just already there. Like you said, he's on the 40-man. Bring him up, let him play. He does everything well. I mean, he's not the greatest defender, but I think he's serviceable I'd put him better than TJ Friedel right now as a defender. So, I mean, that's I don't think that's a hot take. So, depending on what happens in that situation. But Hector, his underlying stats. I was never deep into analytics up until this year. I really wanted to kind of learn what they all meant, and just kind of looking at his chase rate, his contact percentage in the zone, contact percentage out of the zone, swing percentage out of the zone, swing percentage in the zone. All those numbers have improved in every way. His chase rate has gone down, his swing rate has gone down, but his contact percentage has gone up. And he's learned that he can watch a ball. He doesn't have to swing it the first 3 pitches and have an outcome. He's working counts, and he's getting hits, and he's hitting a lot of home runs. And another guy, the two that I think should be on the major league team if we're going full sell and we're bringing guys up is Michael Toglia. He's doing well. He's doing what you did while you brought him in. He's got over a 900 OPS, and he's got power. He's showing it. I think it's time to especially if you're getting rid of Nate Lowe, just swap him in over at first base, DH. Let him be a bench bat off, a bat off the bench, or move Sal over to third and let Toglia play first. He can also play outfield too, so he can play all over. He was a former first-round pick. He's got talent. 19 home runs, 897 OPS. They did drop down 3 points, but I'd like to see him up too if we're going full sale.
And the 19 home runs, the stats that you recited, he's had about 2 or 3 weeks of parental leave because he just had twins. So he's just getting back from that. So maybe he gets in the rhythm again, and we'll start to see vintage Michael Toglia of this season back at it. The 19 home runs and taking 2 or 3 weeks off from the season, that's crazy stuff. And also to add on to this, because it feels like it's just a home run party down there in Louisville, the ice horse, Michael Chavis, hit his 17th home run this weekend, and he is looking pretty good. A guy that we didn't really put too much stock in because I think he was another minor league signee, has been working his tail off down there, playing multiple positions, mostly kind of like third base or first base or DH, what have you. But if we're going to have open positions and we're going to fill it with guys like Toglia who have played in the majors, why not give Michael Chavis a chance as well? I say, why not?
Why not? And then Will Benson goes out, hits a home run too. He's hitting over 300 in his time in AAA, 860. Bring him up, or I think they're just using him to get numbers to try to trade him. But he was a guy that was designated for assignment, didn't get claimed, and he accepted his assignment down to AAA. It's just, for whatever reason, it's the quad A thing the Reds have where they just don't develop guys once they get to the major league roster. And I don't know why or how or it happens, but there needs to be some changes made as far as some coaches go, as far as developmental coaches, hitting coaches, stuff like that, just because we're seeing too many quad A guys that are really good in the minor leagues not continue to progress.
Yeah, for sure. One guy that of that note not progressing that I thought had a chance to get back to the majors is Julian Aguiar. He had a rough start Friday or Saturday. Didn't get out of the first inning, I believe. I think maybe it was the Saturday, one of the doubleheader Saturday games. Has a 5 or 6 ERA, coming off of a season off of Tommy John, I believe, or UCL surgery for 2025. Missed the whole year. Looked good in spring training. Mike and I saw him in spring training, pitched pretty decently. Thought this was be a arm that we would depend on or be able to eat innings or something, maybe hybrid, sometimes start, sometimes come out of pen. He hasn't really figured it out, which is kind of disappointing because I thought this kid had good stuff and it was a competitor, is coming back from injury, and unfortunately he's not not probably where he wants to be either. So hopefully he finishes his season off strong. Maybe there's a September call up then as well. If we trade some pitchers or shut down some guys or what have you, maybe that's when it happens. But right now, Aguilar has kind of been struggling of late.
Yeah, him as well as Connor Phillips and Trevor Kunsel had a kind of a rough outing too. Connor Phillips, I don't know what happened. It's just he's just walking so many guys, and I think he just got married or engaged during the All-Star break, and maybe that'll turn it around for him to have some newfound confidence, but no more stress of trying to hide the ring. You know what I mean? So like maybe that's it. But
maybe
been there.
Abbott turned it around after he proposed too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So I mean, it happens. You know, we know the stress. You know, we've been there. So we're not professional baseball players by any means, but we got life. You know, so yeah. I get it. It happens, but you know, hopefully he can regain. I mean, last year he was so good coming down the stretch in the bullpen for the Reds, and he had I think it was nearly an 11-inning scoreless streak going into the playoffs, and he just looked really good. Looks like one of the cornerstone bullpen arms with his fastball and sweeper combination. I don't know. And Luis May, I don't know what it is about him either. He had a good outing on, I think it was Saturday. 2 innings, no hits, 1 walk and a strikeout, but he's got an ERA over 4, and he's just walking a ton of guys. And I haven't seen Maxwell much at all here lately either. Yeah, but he's struggled a lot this year too at both levels. Yeah,
it's a story of the major league team and the AAA team for the bullpen. Same story, kind of frustrating. I'm sure these guys are just as frustrated as us. I think Emilio Pagan voiced that frustration recently, talking about how poorly the season has gone, and the bullpen, unfortunately, is one of those factors. And the AAA, I mean, the one guy that actually was pretty decent was the guy we traded for Rhys Hines. Zach McCambley actually was pretty good, and Julian Garcia has been pretty good. But so there's been some bright spots in the midst of all the walking and AAA and majors. But yeah, that's got to be definitely figured out for next year and the rest of this year. There was that nice stat you put out there, Ricky, the 3-game series against Colorado. They only walked 3 times, 3 guys. We could do that. If we could do that going forward, do it in AAA as well, please. That's all I ask.
Please.
Yeah. It's easy. It's so easy, right?
It's so easy. It's just throwing a ball down a strike zone. That's all it is.
Yeah. Throw it over the plate and not get it crushed over the wall. But anyway, yeah. Anything else about AAA Louisville before we move it on?
No, that's all I got on that.
Yeah, the prospect of the week is a guy that, I guess I can't believe we haven't talked about him more this season. I think we do a fairly good amount, and I know you write about him a lot, Ricky, with your pieces there on Reds on SI. But Iker Radona, with the ridiculous stat line, ridiculous season that he's had coming over from Dominican to the state CL section of this podcast, but Iker Radona has been excellent, and unfortunately, I think he'll be shut down probably once the ACL season is done, due to saving his arm, innings limit and what have you. But Iker Radona, 4 innings, 11 strikeouts, which is just crazy to think about because he got 11 of the 12 outs via strikeout. And I guess the only negative is that he walked 3 guys, or had 4 hits, walked 1 guy, I believe. So a little bit high on the whip for that outing for him, when he's usually a guy that has really low walks and hits per inning pitch for especially his level of talent. But yeah, 72 pitches also is a lot. So it put a lot on his arm, which is probably why he didn't get out of the 4th inning or out of the 5th inning. So he's just a guy to watch, a guy that, Ricky, you've written about a lot and have watched him since he was with the DSL. Like, what are your thoughts on Iker in this performance?
Yeah, so like you said, 73 pitches, I think you said 77, 73, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
26 whiffs on 37 swings. Just unbelievable. 32.6% strikeout rate, 3.4% walk rate in 42 innings. Just the guy who throws strikes, he gets guys to miss. Not overpowering, but he gets what needs to have. He gets the outcome that you need, and he doesn't give up a lot of runs either. He had a ERA under 1 in the DSL, and then translating it to stateside, having an ERA like I think under 3 is equivalent to having an ERA under 1 in the DSL. So I mean, he's just it's great. It's good stuff. He's one of the better pitchers in this organization that I'm really excited about, him and Morete.
Oh, for sure. Those two guys coming up together is awesome. And I'm trying to look up quickly on the google.com, no free ads. He's probably one of the first Mexican players that we've ever had possibly debut for the Cincinnati Reds. I obviously grasping at straws at the moment. We got Ichiro Kano already in the system, but he's in the minors. Alejo Lopez, is that one?
I believe so.
Okay,
and
so maybe
I think never mind, he's not one. He's from Cuba.
So maybe the first Mexican pitcher we ever have for your Cincinnati Redlegs, which would be kind of awesome to see him debut in 2028, 2029, as we kind of talked about earlier in the episode. But yes, a monster of strikeouts. We talked about 57 strikeouts and 42 innings in the ACL. It's kind of sad that we won't be able to see him probably after this week, but he's going off on a pretty nice performance, and we will very much try to seek him out probably spring training next year in March to try to see where he's going at. Because if he's not in Daytona, I'd be surprised. Maybe he skips a level, maybe not. But he's only 19 years old, so he's got a lot of baseball ahead of him.
Yeah, he's very young. I think he might be 18.
Oh shoot!
Let me double check on that. He's 18. He turns 19 in December.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we go into spring training 2027 as a 19-year-old, which, Starlin Torres, I think, was 19, was in Daytona. So that could be his route pitching for the Tortugas in 2027, hopefully at the very least. But yeah, shout out to Iker Radona, a good one, guy that we've been talking about a lot. So if you don't know him, check out his stuff. He'll be coming to an affiliate ball, either Daytona or Dayton, maybe sooner than later. But anything else you got on Radona?
Nope.
Yeah. So if you made this far, like, comment, subscribe. We really appreciate it. We're a podcast, so we're also put that out there. We're also on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio podcast. So give us a 5-star rating there. We really appreciate it. We are working on, if you are on the YouTubes, you can see that Ricky's got the merch on his head that we're working on, that kind of stuff. Hopefully, nice looking hat there. So be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for Ty Horn's interview on Wednesday. Check out All Gloves Off, Lights Out podcast on Tuesday. Far End of the Bench guys are really good guys I've talked to a bunch, and they put out their stuff, I think, Fridays every single time they put out live. And then you got, who else am I missing there, Ricky?
Cheap Pop Society. Who else am I missing?
Fanboys Unleashed. They do
Unleashed.
like a Saturday podcast for football. Yeah. And Football Cheese, he's ramping up for the football season. It's almost football season, if you believe that, Ricky. It's once August hits, I think officially baseball's done, at least sometimes in this city.
Yeah.
Don't want to jinx it, but
sadly.
Yeah. But anyway, until the Bengals go 0-4, and then all of a sudden it's baseball season again. Yay.
The Bengals go 0-3, and the Reds go on like a 7-game winning streak.
Yeah, we're back. But yeah. Anything else? Got any articles or anything coming out you want to plug?
None currently.
Check out the Dominican Summer League article, All-Stars. Ricky got to talk to Angel Nunez Jr. and Eder Gutierrez. And did you get to talk to Escalona, or was he not available?
I talked to him after I had it published.
Gotcha. Well, check that out. These guys are really nice to give their time and answer questions and whatnot. And when if we get, like Ricky says, we get a translator, maybe we could have like an interview recorded and put it out there for our channel and do all that, and maybe Pablo Nunez as well in the mix and what have you. So, but yeah, Ricky, if you got nothing else, go Reds.
Go Reds.